In a small, quiet town nestled in the rugged wilderness of Oregon, an insidious plan was unfolding. A plan that would shatter the lives of innocent people and leave a chilling mark on history. At first glance, this was a haven for spiritual seekers, a so-called paradise where enlightenment and community thrived. But beneath the surface, something sinister was brewing. It began subtly. A few residents fell ill. Stomach cramps, fevers, unexplained fatigue. Then more. Soon, entire families were rushing to the emergency room, their symptoms worsening by the hour. The peaceful town was gripped by fear, and rumors of a mysterious illness spread like wildfire. What no one could have guessed was that this wasn't a natural outbreak. It was an attack, a deliberate, calculated act of bioterrorism. And at its heart lay a powerful and enigmatic figure, cloaked in charisma and controversy. The world would come to know their community not as a sanctuary, but as a cult willing to poison an entire town to achieve their twisted ambitions. This is the story of how an idyllic paradise became a poisoned hell, a story of manipulation, power, and the dark secrets that unravel when you dig just beneath the surface. Welcome to the Rajneesh cult, Poison in Paradise. In the early 1980s, the small town of Silverlake, Oregon, was a picture of tranquility. With its picturesque rolling hills, sprawling farmlands, and a population barely reaching 7,000, it was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. Life moved at a slow, predictable pace until they arrived. They called themselves the Children of Lumora, a group led by the enigmatic and charismatic figure, Elias Veyron. Veyron was no ordinary spiritual leader. With his piercing gaze, eloquent speeches, and magnetic personality, he had drawn thousands of followers from across the country, people disillusioned with modern society and seeking meaning in their lives. Under his guidance, the group established a sprawling commune just outside Silverlake, a settlement they named Haven's Crest. Haven's Crest was no simple retreat. It was a self-sustaining community with its own farming operations, housing, and even a makeshift hospital. The group claimed to live in harmony with nature, following Veyron's teachings of pure living and spiritual ascension. For a time, the townsfolk viewed them with mild curiosity and even admiration for their apparent self-sufficiency. But as the commune grew in size and influence, tensions began to simmer. The first signs of trouble were subtle. Members of the commune began to frequent town hall meetings, lobbying aggressively for zoning changes and permits to expand their settlement. Their sheer numbers and unified voting bloc quickly made them a political force. Suddenly, decisions in Silverlake seemed to revolve around the desires of the Children of Lumora. Local businesses started to suffer too. The group had its own suppliers and refused to patronize shops in town, creating an economic divide. Their members, dressed in flowing white robes and speaking in cryptic phrases about cleansing the impure, became an unsettling presence on Silverlake streets. The divide deepened when former members began to emerge with disturbing stories. They spoke of strict control, forced isolation, and punishments for dissent within Haven's Crest. These accounts were dismissed by the group as lies spread by disgruntled individuals. Elias Veyron himself addressed these claims in a rare public appearance, brushing off concerns with his trademark charm and assuring the townsfolk that the Children of Lumora were peaceful and misunderstood. But not everyone was convinced. Local journalist Sarah Kline took a particular interest in the group. Known for her tenacity and sharp instincts, Kline began to investigate Haven's Crest. What she discovered painted a picture far darker than anyone could have imagined. She uncovered reports of strange shipments being delivered to the commune, large quantities of chemicals that seemed out of place in a spiritual community. Some residents of Silverlake had noticed unusual activity near the town's water supply. Combined with the cult's increasing hostility toward the town, a sense of unease began to take root. Then came the whispers, rumors of a plan to cleanse the town. These whispers were initially dismissed as paranoid speculation, But the strange illnesses that began to sweep through Silverlake suggested otherwise. The symptoms were consistent and alarming. Severe stomach pain, vomiting, high fevers. Entire families were struck down, and hospital beds quickly filled. Health officials were baffled, unable to trace the source of the outbreak. Meanwhile, the Children of Lumora remained untouched, their members continuing their lives as if nothing was amiss. As the town suffered, Sarah Kline's investigation intensified. She combed through supply records, interviewed defectors, and even attempted to infiltrate Haven's Crest. The deeper she dug, the more convinced she became that this was no coincidence. Something sinister was happening, and the commune was at the center of it. By now, fear and suspicion gripped Silverlake. The once quiet town was now a powder keg, with its residents desperate for answers. What had begun as a clash of cultures had escalated into a full-blown crisis. And as the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, one thing became horrifyingly clear. This wasn't just a power struggle. This was an attack. The morning of October 5th, 1983, began like any other in Silverlake. Parents prepared their children for school, shopkeepers opened their stores, and the comforting hum of small-town life filled the air. But by midday, the town was in chaos. Dozens of residents flooded the local clinic with identical symptoms: intense stomach cramps, nausea, fever, and relentless vomiting. Within hours, the clinic was overwhelmed, forcing patients to be transferred to nearby hospitals. The town's small police force scrambled to maintain order as fear spread faster than the sickness itself. Initially, health officials suspected a viral outbreak. Tests for common pathogens, however, came back negative. The mystery deepened when clusters of families reported falling ill simultaneously, despite no apparent connection between them. It wasn't until a hospital toxicologist examined the water samples brought in by one patient that a shocking discovery was made. The water contained traces of salmonella bacteria, but this wasn't accidental contamination. This was weaponized, concentrated, and deliberately introduced. The revelation sent shockwaves through Silverlake. Who could have done this, and why? Town meetings became heated, with accusations flying and rumors spiraling out of control. Some residents suspected the Children of Lumora, but without concrete evidence, the authorities hesitated to act. Meanwhile, the death toll was rising. Elderly residents and young children, whose immune systems couldn't handle the onslaught, were the first to succumb. In total, 751 people fell ill, and dozens were hospitalized in critical condition. Fear turned to anger, and the previously peaceful town teetered on the edge of panic. Journalist Sarah Kline's investigation took on new urgency. She discovered that the commune's recent chemical shipments included substances commonly used in microbiology labs. These shipments were tied to a newly constructed facility within Haven's Crest, hidden from public view. Despite her findings, law enforcement struggled to connect the dots. The Children of Lumora had powerful legal representation, and Elias Veyron publicly denounced the accusations as baseless hatred against his group. But cracks began to appear in their facade. A disgruntled former member of the group, calling himself Martin, approached Kline. He was gaunt, paranoid, and visibly shaken, but his information was invaluable. Martin revealed that the commune had a secret cleansing committee, tasked with carrying out Veyron's orders to purify Silverlake of what he called spiritual pollutants. According to Martin, the water contamination was their first strike, a warning meant to weaken the town and discourage opposition. Armed with this information, Kline worked tirelessly to uncover proof. Her relentless pursuit brought her to the outskirts of Haven's Crest, where she captured grainy photographs of members disposing of biological waste in a forested area. This evidence, combined with Martin's testimony, finally pushed local authorities to act. The raid on Haven's Crest was swift but shocking. Authorities uncovered an underground laboratory equipped with specialized equipment, petri dishes, and leftover salmonella cultures. Documents found in the facility detailed meticulous plans for the water poisoning, down to the distribution points and dosages. Even more chilling, the documents hinted at future attacks targeting local food supplies and public events. The impact on Silverlake was devastating. Families mourned their lost loved ones while grappling with the betrayal of their own neighbors, some of whom had secretly joined the commune. The town's infrastructure buckled under the weight of the crisis, with businesses shuttered and schools closed indefinitely. Trust, the lifeblood of small-town living, was shattered. As news of the attack spread, the nation turned its eyes to Silverlake. Media outlets swarmed the town, painting it as a battleground between innocence and extremism. But for the people living there, this was no sensational story. It was a nightmare from which they could not wake. The Children of Lumora, once seen as an eccentric curiosity, were now revealed as a ruthless cult willing to sacrifice lives to achieve their goals. Silverlake was no longer just a quiet town in Oregon. It was a crime scene, scarred by an act of bioterrorism that would haunt its residents forever. The investigation into the poisoning of Silverlake's water supply was unlike anything the local authorities had ever faced. Bioterrorism was a term they had only read about in federal reports, and now it was their grim reality. With mounting pressure from both the community and the media, the FBI joined the case, bringing in forensic experts and seasoned investigators to piece together what had happened. The first major breakthrough came from the contaminated water samples. The salmonella strain found in Silverlake's water wasn't ordinary. It had been genetically modified for higher potency, a level of sophistication that required specialized knowledge and equipment. This pointed investigators directly to Haven's Crest and the secret laboratory uncovered during the raid. The lab, though largely dismantled, still held critical evidence. Petri dishes, chemical residues, and a meticulous logbook detailing experiments were all recovered. The logbook proved to be a treasure trove of information. It outlined how the bacteria had been cultivated, tested, and eventually introduced into Silverlake's water system. But while the evidence implicated the Children of Lumora, it wasn't enough to tie the crime directly to Elias Veyron. Authorities focused on tracing the commune's supply chain. Shipment records revealed a series of purchases made under pseudonyms, all tied to members of the cult's inner circle. This circle, known as the Council of Lumora, was composed of Veyron's most loyal followers, fanatics who would do anything to fulfill his vision. The investigation intensified when FBI agents interrogated lower-ranking members of the group. Many remained loyal to Veyron, refusing to speak, but cracks began to form. A member named Linda Hayes, overwhelmed by guilt and fear of imprisonment, confessed to her role in the attack. She described how the council had convened secretly, debating methods to weaken the town's resistance to the cult's expansion. The poisoning, she revealed, was Veyron's idea, masked as a divine mandate to cleanse the impure. Hayes also confirmed Martin's account of the Cleansing Committee, a covert group tasked with carrying out the plan. Her testimony painted a chilling picture of life inside Haven's Crest: complete control, brainwashing, and unwavering devotion to Veyron. She claimed that many members, including herself, had been coerced through fear and manipulation to participate in the attack. With Hayes' testimony, investigators now had enough to arrest several members of the Council of Lumora. Still, Elias Veyron remained an untouchable figure. He denied any involvement, claiming ignorance of the lab and the Council's actions. His public statements were carefully crafted, portraying himself as a victim of persecution by outsiders who misunderstood his spiritual mission. But the final piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source: an audio recording recovered from one of the council members' homes. The tape captured a secret meeting where Veyron explicitly ordered the attack, describing it as a necessary step to secure the future of Lumora. His calm, commanding voice was unmistakable. When the evidence was presented to a grand jury, it was damning. Veyron was arrested in a dramatic raid that unfolded on live television, with helicopters circling overhead and agents storming Haven's Crest. The once untouchable leader was now in handcuffs, his empire crumbling around him. The revelations rocked the nation. Elias Veyron, the charismatic figure who had built a following in the name of spiritual enlightenment, was exposed as a manipulative mastermind behind one of the most heinous crimes in Oregon's history. For the people of Silverlake, it was a bittersweet victory. Justice was served, but the scars of betrayal and loss would remain forever. The arrest of Elias Veyron marked the dramatic climax of the investigation. Television screens across the nation broadcast the moment federal agents escorted the cult leader, clad in his ceremonial robes, out of Haven's Crest. His followers watched in stunned silence, many weeping and chanting prayers for their leader's return. For the people of Silverlake, it was a moment of vindication. A powerful figure brought to justice for the horrors inflicted on their town. In the courtroom, the trial of Elias Veyron and the Council of Lumora became one of the most sensational cases in recent history. The prosecution laid out a meticulously crafted case, leveraging the recovered evidence, witness testimonies, and the damning audio recording that captured Veyron's order for the attack. Jurors listened in shock as former cult members described the inner workings of Haven's Crest. A web of manipulation, control, and violence, disguised as spiritual devotion. Veyron's defense attempted to paint him as a misunderstood visionary, claiming that rogue elements within the commune had acted without his knowledge. But the overwhelming evidence left no room for doubt. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the verdict was announced. Elias Veyron and key members of the council were found guilty on multiple counts, including conspiracy, bioterrorism, and attempted murder. Veyron was sentenced to life in prison without parole. For Silverlake, the aftermath of the attack was a long road to recovery. The poisoning had left physical and emotional scars on its residents. Survivors struggled with lingering health issues, while families mourned those who had died. The town's reputation was forever changed, and the trauma of the event lingered in every conversation, every empty chair at family dinners. Haven's Crest, once a sprawling commune of hundreds, was dismantled. Its remaining followers dispersed, many grappling with the realization that the man they had devoted their lives to was a monster. Some sought therapy and rehabilitation, while others clung to the belief that Veyron had been framed, retreating into smaller, fragmented groups across the country. As the years passed, Silverlake began to heal. Memorials were erected to honor the victims, and annual remembrance ceremonies became a way for the community to come together. The town's story served as a sobering reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and blind devotion. For journalist Sarah Kline, the case became a defining moment in her career. Her relentless pursuit of the truth not only helped bring justice to her town, but also sparked national conversations about the vulnerabilities of small communities and the dangers posed by extremist groups. The legacy of Elias Veyron and the Children of Lumora remains a chilling testament to the lengths some will go in the name of power and ideology. For Silverlake, it's a story of tragedy, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of justice in the face of darkness. Thanks for watching till the end. If you found this video intriguing, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and let's continue to uncover the truth behind the world's most chilling crimes together. Stay safe, stay curious, and remember, the darkest secrets often hide in plain sight. Until next time, thank you for being a part of Deadly Secrets.